Welcome to Ocean Chicks Films.
Welcome to the Ocean Chicks Horror Podcast. I'm your host, Karen, and today in the broadcast studio, I'm super excited. We have a physical media collector and movie reviewer, Christian from the YouTube channel Planet CHH. Christian has an extensive movie collection as well as collectibles. He's also got an awesome YouTube channel and podcast that he does with co-hosts, and they get deep into all of the movies that we love. And I got to talk to him about all of that stuff. Really fun. So sit back and enjoy the show, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Welcome to the Ocean Chicks Horror Podcast. I'm your host, Karen, and today on the show, super excited to have movie reviewer and physical media collector, Christian from the YouTube channel Planet CHH. Hey, Christian, how's it going?
It's great. It's hot, but I'm cooled off, and I'm happy to be here on the Ocean Chicks Horror Podcast.
I'm so honored that you agreed to do this.
You're honored? Oh wow!
Yeah.
I'm honored you asked me.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
It's always humbling when somebody, because you put videos on the internet and you just see numbers and comments, but you don't
Right.
realize it's human beings,
Right.
that watch your stuff. So when you reached
Yeah.
out, I was like, of course.
Yeah. I like doing the movie reviews and things, but I like talking with everybody behind the scenes and the people that are doing stuff, because then I learn so much more about it. If I couldn't do that part of it,
Mm-hmm.
I would quit. I wouldn't do it. If I was
Absolutely.
just totally doing reviews and doing videos and that all the time, I would just be like, nah, it's not for me. Not cool. Too boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So first off, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I found your channel. Now, I'm embarrassed to say, I just found you like a couple of weeks to a month ago.
I'm just glad you found me, but I'm excited to hear how, because that's always interesting to me.
Well, okay. I was like sitting back watching YouTube on my TV screen as I was editing and stuff, and I was kind of scrolling through and going, there's nothing on, nothing to watch, nothing cool. And I checked out the new to you category that YouTube has, and I'm scrolling.
Okay.
Yeah, there's food. There's like ghost hunting. There's all these things. I'm like, whatever.
Right.
And then I see this thumbnail. Whew, bright colors with the name and stuff. I was like, what is this? Click.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my God. And you're on some live stream, I think, with one of your co-hosts, talking about movies and stuff. And I was like, what is this? This is awesome. How have I not found this before? And then weirdly enough, I connected with Garrett from Born to Be Rad, and I talked to him longer than that, like a few months back, in chats and stuff like that. He agreed to do an interview, and I was like, wait, you guys know each other? Wait, Lee from Drum Dums is on your show too? I interviewed him before too. I've known him for a year.
Awesome.
And Night Watch Zone? What's happening here? Who is this person? How do I not know? So now it's this whole new group of people that I've kind of come to know, and I love your show. It's so awesome.
Thank you. That's awesome. I'm so glad you found me.
Yeah, I'll definitely be watching more. I always feel bad, but it's kind of hard. Like, YouTube doesn't always share out certain groups. So I know tons of different communities, but I just never really found yours before. But we have so many different people connected. So it's kind of, I love that. I think that's really cool.
6 degrees of separation.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so super fun. So then I was watching some of your other videos and things. You've been on for 10 years?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's cool. I so appreciate also that you've left up some of your older videos, because a lot of people, when they get bigger, they delete everything and get rid of it. But I like watching the old stuff from way back when to see where that person came from, but 10 years, what's that like?
God, I don't know. It became it's It started out just I found Pizow. I'm
Okay.
sure you know who that is.
Yep.
Maybe you do. But he was started out like in the late 2000s, like 2009 or something. And I found his channel one day. I had become a big horror fan. I didn't grow up
Okay.
one.
Okay. Right.
And when I did, I just happened to go on YouTube and just type in like Friday the 13th or whatever. And I found one of his videos years ago, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God. So like people like just talk about the movies that they buy and stuff. I want to do that. So like I just did it.
Right.
And I I don't know, for some reason I just kept doing it, and I really enjoyed it, and it became literally just a part of my daily and weekly life, the same way I eat and shower and
Right.
go to work.
Yeah.
And so it's just I just never stopped.
Right.
And for 10 years I evolve and I change and I get
Yeah.
microphones and better cameras and
Yep.
stuff like that you naturally do as you just keep doing something. But
Right.
massive part of my life. It factors into my weekly routine,
Right.
you
But
know?
movies was still a big thing for you growing up.
Oh, sure.
Not necessarily horror, but movies in general.
No, yeah, movies in general, absolutely, always. My grandma was a big Stephen King fan, believe it or not,
Cool.
and, she would show me some stuff, like, God, I remember she took me to a video store in, like, 95, 96,
Right.
and she got that double pack VHS of It. And the cool artwork, not the white one, where he's got it's the sewer with the little green alien hand coming out of it.
Cool.
And we used to watch that when I was a kid, and I ruined my life. Uh, but I was, I'd watch cartoons as a kid. I'd watch
Right.
Titanic, Nightmare Before Christmas. I
Right.
just I never got into horror until much later in life.
Right.
You know.
I started my channel actually too as just well, I started as an activism channel, but that's another story. And then it flipped to movie reviews. But for some reason I gravitated towards horror. I like it kind of, I don't know why. And I think eventually after I'm over this part of it, I will go back to all sorts of movies
Mhm.
actually, because I think that's, it's kind of gets boring watching just horror all the time. That being said, as a kid, I grew up the opposite of you. My dad was really into horror
Mhm.
and really scary possession stuff and all that kind of thing.
Right.
So, at a very young age, much as I was very terrified, he would talk about stuff like that all the time. And then it became kind of an interest for me as I got older. It kind of changed. But I think it's cool that you review and watch all kinds of movies,
Yeah, it didn't start out that way.
No,
I mean, I was hardcore horror on my channel.
the franchises and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so the CHH stands for Christian Hannah Horror, and that was my
Right.
channel name.
Right.
And after literally 10 years of doing it, I was gonna blow my brains out if I had to keep doing it every single, like, I love horror. It is my life. I mean, I got it
Right.
tattooed on me.
Cool.
It's just
Yeah.
part of who I am now. Literally, it's the greatest genre on earth.
Right.
But there were times where, like, I just wanted to talk about anything else. So my channel name was Christian Hannah Horror, and I was literally about to I was so burnt out I was gonna quit. And then I changed it to Planet CHH because that's like a play on Planet Hollywood, which kind of encompasses
Okay.
all kinds of movies. Yeah, a lot of people are just like, "What does that mean?" I was just like,
Right. It's
"Does nobody?"
catchy
I was
though.
like, "Does nobody remember Planet Hollywood?" I know all those restaurants are shut down, but like they were around,
Yeah, I remember.
you know. So that I like people call me CHH. I like that. It's nice to have a
Yeah.
cool little nickname. So I'm always gonna be that.
Right.
And horror's still like literally 90 to 95% of what I do. But when
Right.
when a movie comes out that I love, like Vacation gets a 4K, yeah, I'm gonna review that. Or The Firm, my favorite Tom Cruise movie. I want to talk about that. But like, Jesus Christ, to say horror is not who I am as a person. It's given me everything.
Right.
Horror gave me my love for bands that I never would have found otherwise, like Julian Cope he was in Return of the Living Dead 2, and then I became a big Teardrop Explodes fan.
Right.
Joe Lamont, good God, Go West from Nightmare on Elm Street 4. I mean, horror shaped me into the music fan I am today.
Right.
Style, I like having long hair now just because I don't know, like characters from horror movies that I love had long hair. It
Right.
shaped my DNA more than any genre on the planet. So
Right.
it's always going to be who I am.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and I saw on a live too, you were talking about, because I appreciate all the franchises too. I'm not as like into watching all of the franchises like say Night Watch Zone is or that kind of thing. I appreciate it, but I'm kind of all over the place
You're
when
over
I
the
watch
place. Yeah.
movies. Yeah, and I love the old stuff. I grew up in the 70s. I was a kid in the 70s and a teenager in the 80s. So I like to go back towards those older films too. But I heard you talking about that you like the Apocalypse trilogy, John Carpenter's The Thing, Prince of Darkness, In the Mouth of Madness. I do too. Love those films so much. And I love talking about the underrated stuff, things people don't talk about as much. Do you do that too?
I try for sure. Prince of Darkness is one of my favorite movies ever.
Love it. Yeah. I didn't find it until a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Dan from Mr. Dan and Horror, he's in a lot of the chats and stuff too. He's got a channel. I was reviewing The Thing. Of course, I saw The Thing when it came out back in the day.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I love that movie. And he told me about those other films, and I hadn't heard about them, so I thought I'll check those out. I have a local video store around the corner still,
Me
and I was able
too.
to go there
Me
and
too.
grab.
I get
Isn't that cool?
I get T-shirts from him.
Cool.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Keep going. Keep
That's
going.
okay. No, it's your interview. I shouldn't be talking so much.
No, I'm listening. I like this.
Unfortunately, mine is going to be closing down in the end of the summer. It's
Wipe
just
them
got
out. If they're selling stuff cheap, wipe them out.
Yeah, I went there the other day and I was asking, and I probably will be able to grab some stuff, but he's got a couple of people that are talking about buying the whole
man.
lot.
Okay.
And he's got like probably 10,000 movies. Like it's just
Mm.
insane, like everything you can imagine. So it's unfortunate. It is going out of business, but yeah, so I'll try. I'm gonna definitely try to get there and see if I
Yeah.
can grab some stuff. It's like, what you doing with your movies?
Mhm.
Yeah. Can I have some? But yeah, I'll definitely do that. But that's cool that you still have one. So I went there and I rented Prince of Darkness, In the Mouth of Madness, watched them and was like, why have I not seen these movies before? What
Right.
is wrong with me? Wow, incredible.
Yeah, I love In the Mouth of Madness, but to me, when you talk about those three movies, even though I think The Thing is objectively, in my opinion, which is an oxymoron thing to say, I think The Thing is his best movie he ever did, pound for
Right.
pound.
Right.
Prince of Darkness that's the style right there. And I grew up
Yeah.
Catholic, and I was raised to believe, the devil is real.
Right.
He's coming after you every day.
Yeah.
And so that movie hits me in my bones.
Yeah.
And Alice Cooper is my hero. So to see him in that movie is incredible. I love Prince of Darkness so much. I'm so glad you just saw it. That is The Thing, Halloween, Prince of Darkness. That's my top three. I love Prince of Darkness so much.
Yeah,
and
me
even
too.
though I don't think it has the most memorable score that John ever did,
Right.
it's just so damn good. It's
Yeah.
palpable. Oh my God. I love Prince of Darkness.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's good that you talk about these movies. That's what I love about your channel. The little bit I've seen, I'm definitely be binging it for the next couple of weeks for sure, because you have lots of uploads to check out. But I like that you talk about different stuff. I mean, I appreciate the franchises, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Scream, all of that. I appreciate that. It's cool. Movies are coming out. It's neat talking about it. But I like there's other stuff too, right? To watch. And it's neat to talk about that kind of thing. Yeah. So I think that's really neat that you do that. Yeah. Okay. Back to your logo and your design. Do you do all the graphics too for all of that?
Not everything, some stuff. So when I first rebranded, I had a logo that's very similar to what I have now, but I have a buddy named Brandon who does one of my live shows with me, the one where we eat food and talk about whatever 90s TV commercials and horror stuff too. He is really, really talented. And he kind of made me an updated version of what I have now. So now my logo looks really expensive, right? It's like the planet Earth and everything.
Phenomenal. Yeah, it's
I love
really
it.
good. Yeah.
I'm very blessed to have met people in life that are talented and smart
Right.
and good people,
Yeah.
and he's one of them for sure.
Wow, you are lucky that you were able to connect with people like that and kind of work together too.
Yeah,
Because you have a lot of segments on your show as well, right? You have your
I've got the
what-
UNEEDA horror podcast with my
yes,
buddy Nick. I've been doing that for 2 years.
right.
I've got Planet Dirty. So here's the thing. Like I'm a goofball, and I always come up with nicknames for my friends. So when
Okay.
I started doing live shows with my buddy Brandon, we talk about horror, but we'll talk about all kinds of stuff. We do
Yeah.
stuff where we eat food and we drink milk and we just do taste tests and just hang out
Oh,
with the chat.
cool. Okay.
And I called him Dirty Money. I just made it up. Like I introduced him as that one time, but the audience, they just started calling him that.
Yeah.
So then we decided to start streaming kind of often because we got along real well.
Yeah.
And so we called it Planet Dirty because he's Dirty Money, Planet CHH, and we just come and
That's awesome.
people like, so I got that, the You Need a Horror podcast, which
Yeah.
is great. I love doing that.
Yeah.
And then I do a lot of physical media. I love retro physical media. I've collected laser discs for a decade, VHS beta tapes, like all that. So physical media is like my biggest thing.
Yeah.
But then I got like horror masks, and I'm obsessed with Nightmare on Elm Street. So I got a wall back there full of all that. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Is this a full-time thing for you?
No. I have a full-time job. I work 12-hour shifts, so I work 3 to 4 days a week typically.
Okay.
And there'll be day when I'm off, I'll try to shoot 3-4 videos a day and just have them done. And because then I have a small business. My wife, me and my wife talked about this for a long time. She loves wax. She got me into wax melts and stuff.
Yeah. I saw that. I was like, wait, what? Because at first I thought the You Need a Candle thing, is that real? And then I saw the podcast, thought, oh, maybe that's just a trippy play on words. And then I was like, no, you actually make candles too.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, I'll tell you really quick. So my wife was working at a t-shirt company, and she it was a job, and she didn't love it. She didn't hate it, but we always wanted to start a little business.
Okay.
And she loves horror too, not as much as me. She's more old school. She likes 70s, 60s Hammer and Gothic, Universal Monster stuff, which I do too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It took me a while I had to get older to get into Hammer and learn to appreciate that more, but I do now. But we decided one day, she was just like, let's just go all in. Let's do this 100%. Let's just do it. So we started UNEEDA Candles.
Okay.
And we make wax melts. We take movies like here's one we did. This is Street Trash. And if you've seen the movie, it's like all kinds of crazy colors. So and we got awesome smells for them. We're doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre melts coming up, and people can find us on Instagram and all that, and uneedacandles.com. So we've been doing that for a year now, and it's incredible. People love it, and we go all in on that. So I stay very busy.
Right. Do you you're manufacturing from home and shipping out? Do you ship to Canada?
Yes, I do Canada. There's only certain countries I don't ship to that are far, far away. But yes, Canada. We have like a number of Canadian customers too.
Cool.
That they buy. But yeah, it's awesome. People love them. We always throw in little extras, stickers, candy when you order. So
I love that so much. I have an art background, so I'm working on a horror comic book.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's in the very beginning stages, preliminary design stages. So I'm not releasing too much, and trying to find time to do everything is hard sometimes too. But I want to do that. So I so appreciate that you guys are making something as well that you're selling, and as well as doing the podcasts and all of that is very cool. Now you order off your website?
Yeah, we have so what it is we have an Etsy store, right?
Okay.
But what we do is like you can make a connecting Etsy's a great site. I love Etsy, and they let you make a connecting site that uses their purchasing database to you. So people can go on Etsy and find UNEEDA candles, or you just go to uneedacandles.com, and when you buy off the site, it's purchasing through Etsy's. It's like a sister or brother site to Etsy.
Okay.
So like when you buy off there, it takes it off of the inventory on the Etsy site and everything. And like that. So it's easier for people to be able to go to uneedacandles.com instead of going to our Etsy store. But it's all the same thing. Everything is shipped through Etsy.
Okay.
But yes, we
Oh,
make it ourselves. Our kitchen is like a mad scientist sometimes because my wife makes all of it,
yeah.
and we'll melt and wax. It's a process, and one day I want to like close in my garage and make like a nice work area because our
Right.
kitchen and our dining room table is full of packages, wax melts, labels, printers, all that.
Yeah.
It's a process to get into it, but it's been very rewarding and people love it, and it's so cool. I watch YouTube reviewers like Garrett. I don't know if you saw it, like in his background, he's got his Lost Boys candles. We made Lost Boys candles, and
No, I didn't see that.
he has it sitting up there, and
Oh,
yeah.
cool. Yeah,
So
I'm gonna be ordering some.
awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
We got Texas Chainsaw stuff coming out because it's Leatherface Day, which is like August 18th, I think. So
Okay.
we'll be ready
Okay.
for that. We do all kinds of stuff though. When Christmas comes around, we do Gremlins, Christmas Vacation. We did Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for Thanksgiving when
Yeah.
that movie. We do all kinds of stuff, but a lot of horror though.
How fun. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, in my years ago, I had a shop here in town that we did folk art stuff, um, carved furniture and that kind of thing with like, but my husband at the time would carve everything and I would paint it. So we do orca whales and things. And
Ooh,
anyway, so we
nice.
had a shop and so I can relate to what you're talking about. It starts off small in the home and then it expands and grows. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's so fun. I just love that. It's so creative. It's neat bringing that element into what you're doing
Yeah.
because I think a lot of my friends and were kind of smaller YouTubers. It you kind of I guess you can just do YouTube, but I think it's good to have lots of different streams happening to keep you interested in what you're doing. So if you're
Sure.
creative,
Yeah.
that's cool, I guess not everybody can make things, but I think it's cool doing that,
It,
that you
it's
guys
been
do that.
it's been very rewarding, and if you put your heart into it, it's like, man, there's good people out there. They're gonna support you.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't half-ass them. Make something good,
Yeah.
and they'll get it.
Yeah. Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
been
Yeah.
rewarding.
Your collection. Okay, let's go back to that. So I checked out one of your older videos from 7 years ago.
Damn! Don't be
Clicked
going
it.
back. Don't be going that far back on me now.
I'm clicking that one. That looks old school. Let's check that out. So I was like, it's got like over 1 million views. I was like, wow, okay, let's check that out. What's this all about? But you can tell it's not the same format as what you've got going on now.
Yeah, it's iPhone 3GS days.
Yeah. Yeah. But so like the fact that you keep it up there is like really cool. I think it's cool. The very first video I did, my daughter laughs at me because I had like a little set. I had like our bikes were kind of, you could see them sitting there and it just was
That's a
weird and
great.
awkward
I
and
love
stuff.
that though. It's
Yeah.
authentic. That's a that was a charming time in YouTube where people there wasn't no such thing as like you have a really nice background behind you, and it's just like
Yeah.
back then it was just like that wasn't even thought of. Like make
No.
your videos aesthetic. Like
Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah.
just film shit.
Just film, yeah. Whatever, random stuff. Yeah, shaky camera and stuff. Yeah. Things have evolved a lot now though. But
Yeah.
the video I'm talking about is the one where you bought um the Chucky doll from the
Oh man.
artist. That's
Yeah.
cool. Do you
I
still
would.
have that?
Oh yeah. It's yeah, I'll move my camera so you can see. He's
Okay.
right there. You see him?
Yeah,
And he's
cool.
one of a kind. I was the bee's knees for a little while because when I got that, Karen, there was no Trick or Treat Studio. So you either had to go get that Dream Rush Japanese Chucky doll that
Right.
was made, like they made like 500 of them.
Yeah.
That was custom made. An
Yep.
artist, a buddy I knew in the UK made it,
Wow.
and he gave me a great deal on it. Still was very expensive,
Right.
but I mean,
What's
I
it
had
made
to.
of? Is it wood?
It's
Like what
like a
is
resin, but it's like the whole head is made out of like resin. It's hand painted and sculpted.
Wow.
Um, it's like
It's
a.
amazing.
It is. Oh, it really. It's so amazing. I've never once just been like, oh, I need to get another Chucky doll from the Chucky dolls from Trick or Treat Studios. All that stuff is great. That is a one of a kind
No, that's
blast. That is a one. It's supposed to look like him. When he's got the ruler and Child's Play 2.
it does.
That's the scene it's based off of face wise.
Yeah.
So it's remarkable.
It's scary. Like it's so good. It's scary.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
all the clothing and everything they sewed together and
Yeah, he found the this was like this is homemade. So he found the fabric, sewed it to the right size. He made the good guy laces. I didn't know you can make laces. He made good guy laces,
Wow.
embroidered the head to toe. It's incredible, incredible.
I love people like that. There
Yeah,
should just be more people like that. I just love that. I think that's
yeah.
so awesome. Yeah, never get rid of that doll.
No, it's a part of never,
Yeah. No,
never.
never. Never, never.
It's one of a kind, you know.
Yeah. So I was glad I clicked that video because I was like, because at first I was like, oh, this will be cool. He's opening up, wow. And then I watched and I was like, wow, that's so cool. I'm so glad I watched that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
thank you.
everybody's got to go check that one out too. I'll have everything linked in the description after your channel and all that stuff. So they can check it out and watch it because it's so good. So, so good.
Yeah.
Um, how do you juggle everything that you're doing? Like, how are you able to do all that? Do you drink a lot of energy drinks? And I always ask people that.
It's a good question. I drink a lot of Pepsi and
You drink a
energy
lot of Pepsi?
drinks.
Yes. Right on.
I just I if you want to do something, you're gonna find the time to do it.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't have kids,
Right.
and that's obviously that's a giant time consumer.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
You know, like I said, when I'm off work, if if I'm done doing yard work, cutting the grass, I try to stay not only motivated but inspired by conversations I have with people.
Right.
For instance, the other day, let me answer your question first because I will legitimately just go off on tangents.
Totally
Uh,
fine.
I love this, so this isn't something I say, oh God, I got to get back and make videos. Like I get so inspired. I'll walk in here and I'll just look at the stuff I have, look at all my movies, and I'll notice Tales from the Dark Side on the shelf. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I do a video where I do horror TV shows on physical media? And I talk about that, Friday the 13th, the series, Freddy's Nightmares, Supernatural, one of my favorite shows ever made. Like, why don't I do
Yeah.
a show where I talk about that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
And I just get inspired and I'll create and I'll make videos, or one of my favorite things I've done is I call it the bargain bin Living Dead movies. Children of the Living Dead, Flight of the Living Dead, the 2006 Night of the Living Dead with Sid Haig. And I do these video essays,
Right.
but I don't just say this movie sucks. I say this is what happened.
Right.
This is why the budget for this movie. This is how this movie got made. This is the story. It didn't start out this way. Joe Wolf was producing this. John Russo wrote the screenplay for this movie, but it got redrafted, and this person came in that didn't care, and then they sucked all the money out. And I love doing that kind of stuff. I love doing it. And my wife is very understanding. I've got to a point to where I'm not paying my bills with YouTube, but I've gotten to where I get a little bit of change once a month, and that's definitely an incentive. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I continuously want to improve that. Would I love to do this full time one day? Probably.
Yeah.
Do I plan on that happening? Not necessarily, but I also think that if I work hard at it and keep doing it, it'll be something nice for me one day. And I just love doing it. I love talking and meeting people like you and having the fun streams and hanging out with people. And I just love doing it, and I constantly am trying to come up with video ideas and stuff to get inspired by. And sometimes I'll plan videos, other times, boom, something will hit me,
Right.
like boom, and then I want to do a video about that right now.
Right.
So, and there's always physical media coming out, and so I got to review and do videos on that stuff. So,
Yeah.
I just it keeps me busy, but I love it. I really do.
I love that you're really knowledgeable about all of it and that you share everything. I appreciate there are YouTubers that do the whole loved it, hated it, this sucked, that was whatever, 5 stars, whatever. Which is cool, but I like that you get into all aspects of it and that you're including the physical media and talking about all of it, because for me that's entertaining. Like I love watching and learning. Like I said, I was scrolling through YouTube and I'm like, boring, nope, don't want to watch that. And then I saw your channel and I was like, oh, I'm going to be binge watching those for a while because I learned so much from it. I think that's really, really cool. So when you started out, you slowly started collecting at the same time with your YouTube channel, collecting and just building and educating yourself and going through it? Or how did that happen?
It's crazy how life works out. So I'll tell you the story.
Okay.
2009 was probably like the most important year of my life, because it literally, I was on this train track and all of a sudden it swapped and then I started heading this way. It was incredible.
Right.
2008, I was doing, and there's nothing wrong with this, but I was doing just what every person in my age at that time was doing. I was into UFC. It was the biggest thing in the world. I was listening to whatever was on the radio, whatever was
Right.
popular on the radio when people listened to the radio.
Right.
You know, I was just doing the stuff normal teenage kids did.
Right.
And one day in 2009, my brother says, "Hey, let's go to Spirit Halloween. You know, those Halloween stores?" And we kind of would go throughout the years. And I was like, "Yeah, let's go."
Right.
And for some reason, when we went to Spirit Halloween, I just got completely enamored with what I saw. And I'm
Okay.
thinking to myself, you know what? I know who Freddy is. I know who Michael and Jason are. I know who what the Exorcist is. But have I seen these movies? I don't know. I just feel like really watching it. Granted, it was the perfect day. It was that Halloween chill in the air, right? And I was just like, I'm gonna start watching these movies. I just want to get into it. I
Right.
tell my mom. My mom used to work next to a Blockbuster. I said, "Mom, can you rent Nightmare on Elm Street for me?" She says, "No problem. I'll bring it home tomorrow when you go to school."
Right.
She comes home and she says, "Christian, they didn't have the first one, but they had the second one. Do you care?" I was like, "I don't care."
Right.
My life was changed that night.
Yeah.
I swear to God. That's one of my favorite movies ever. That's my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street. That's the scariest. I was mortified.
Yeah. That's
When Freddy bursts out of Jesse and he cuts his chest open.
Yeah.
I was sitting there in my bed. It was like 1 a.m. I had school the next day. I was mortified. It
Right.
changed my life.
Yeah.
So after that, I had a part-time job and I'm working a little bit here and I'm working a little bit there. And I would start just taking my money and go to FYA. I'd start buying these movies because I knew it was different. I had never experienced watching movies like this on a level to where I said, who the hell is playing this character? What the hell is this movie about? I want to know every single detail about A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. And eventually I started buying them. So my love for horror and physical media were hand in hand.
Right.
They started together.
Right.
Did I own movies before that? Kind of, but just the way a family did. Like, like you get the Titanic when it comes out, you know, like you stuff movies like that. So that started, horror and physical media started together. And then I started getting Laserdiscs because I remembered an instance as a kid when I was at a friend's house when I was little and they had them.
Yeah.
And I was just enamored by them. And so I started buying a lot of those.
Right.
But all my physical media love and horror literally started at the same time. It was incredible. I got two loves, and I didn't realize I was in love with physical media. I thought I was just wanting to own Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th movies, but it took over my life.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you know how I first started collecting VHS tapes?
How?
Columbia House.
Oh, was that like the thing where like the mail-in or whatever?
Yeah,
that is incredible.
So you got like my niece. This was a lot of years ago. My niece said, "Oh, I got all these movies. You paid like $1 or something, and you got like 10 movies.
Yeah,
and they get mailed to your house.
Oh,
and then after that, you had to buy like a couple more over the next 2 years at top price or whatever.
Right.
So I did that, and that's how I started. And it was the most exciting thing in the world, getting those movies in the mailbox. Like, it was like, wow.
Oh,
yay.
wow.
And I remember I think my very first movie I ordered was Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Oh, yeah.
And I watched it probably like 1,000 times.
Hell yeah.
Because back then there was no internet. It wasn't the same as it is now, right?
Right.
So anyway, that was my like, I don't even know if people remember that back then.
I know about it because I'm really big into horror magazines, especially like retro ones, and I've read about the Columbia houses in Fangoria or probably Fangoria, but like I have magazines where they talk about that, so that's how I remembered, you know. I knew it by name, the Columbia house, so that's awesome.
But we didn't, like, I had a huge VHS collection, but I got rid of it all because we just didn't think about it the same
Nobody
way.
Did. Of course not.
We didn't know things were going to go the way that they've gone.
Yeah.
and that you wouldn't have access to a lot of the movies ever again, that it would be harder to find them. So I've recently, just very, very recently, started collecting
Yeah,
again,
I seen
getting
the
back
movies
into it.
behind you.
A
Yeah,
little bit. I just got like DVDs, that kind of thing, but
that's
not
fine.
as
Hey,
hardcore as you. But
don't ever let anybody tell you like DVDs aren't as good or whatever. DVDs are coming back. I'm telling you, DVDs are going to be the next VHS in the next 5 years or so.
yeah, you think so?
I know so. I can feel it.
Right.
I have movies like Rumpelstilts, like and like movies like this. This is still only available on DVD. I'm sure you remember seeing this on the VHS shelves at the video stores.
Okay. Yeah.
Movies like this are still only on VHS. Um, the Return of the Living Dead DVD is
Right.
still very loved because
Right.
it was started by fans emailing Dan O'Bannon, the director, hey, tell MGM to put Return of the Living Dead. And so, like, he helped to get that made back in 99, 2000. Like, amazing stories like that. DVD, everything comes back. I'm
Right.
telling you.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with DVD.
Yeah. So do you have a collection of everything in your collection, or are you gravitating more towards 4Ks, Blu-rays? Like I know a lot of people for space, will purge and then
I
repurchase,
I have
upgrade.
I have a big problem selling stuff. So I have kept basically all my DVDs,
You don't want to part with it.
Blu-rays.
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably should, but I can't help myself.
Yeah.
I
Well, if you've got
just
the space,
I
you
got the
don't, but
space for
if you do,
that. Yeah.
does she mind that you have all of that going on? She's
Nah.
into movies too. She's okay
She
with it.
I mean, I was like this when she met me because I
Oh
met
yeah.
her in 2012.
Yes.
So I was down with the sickness, so to speak, by that point. And no, she got into it. She got introduced to horror from me in a
Right.
deeper sense, but like there she was different. Like it's funny because like I remember when I really fell in love with Halloween 3 when I
Okay.
first got into movies, and I remember showing her that, and she was just like a normal person. She's like, "Oh, I never saw that one,"
Right.
But then she would tell me when I remember when Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation came out. I didn't learn about this movie until probably like 10 years ago or so.
Right.
And my wife Sydney was like, "Oh yeah, we used to watch that. That was my Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's all my family watched on Showtime back in the day." I was like, "What? Like you didn't watch the first or second one? You watched the fourth one, the one that barely got released?" She's like, "Yeah, that's all my family watched." So it's weird how she'll be like have a deeper relationship with a movie like that like
Yeah.
me, Mr. YouTube channel, didn't see until like 2012 or 13. And she was
It's
watching it
virtually.
back in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, it's impossible. It's impossible to have seen everything. There's so much. You probably still are finding things that you didn't even know existed,
Of
even
course.
now. Yeah.
Of course. And it's like a gold rush when I find out about like the Kindred, for instance. You
Right.
remember, I don't know if you remember that, but like it was a pretty big deal back in the 80s, and I wanted to see it. I knew about it, but it had so much legal limbo going on with it to try to get a physical media release.
Right.
And finally it did. So I got to see the Kindred, great little creature feature,
Right.
2 years ago when Synapse finally put it out on Blu-ray. And it was
Okay.
just like, it was so awesome seeing, sometimes you're watching a classic when you start it, like you could tell.
Right.
And I just knew, I was like, oh, this is going to be freaking awesome. And I
Yeah.
loved it. And yeah, so I'm glad that that's out, but it's a gold rush when something comes out like on a new physical media release or something, or they unearth the print for, I don't know, like Fade to Black. That was
Right.
another one I never heard of.
Right.
And good God, that was incredible. And
Yeah.
they talked about it in Search of Darkness when I was watching that. And so that Vinegar Syndrome announced that on Blu-ray right around the same time. And I watched that and I was like, God, this is incredible. And it was from 1980 and I never heard of it.
Right.
So I'm still finding movies all the time.
Right. Yeah. I forget what I was going to say. I've got so many things going on in my head, questions to ask that I can't even keep track of what I'm thinking about. Do you go to the theaters and that kind of thing, or do you just purchase stuff and watch at home?
Both, more so purchase.
Okay.
My wife is totally like done with theaters. She doesn't care as much anymore. And
Right.
it's kind of expensive. It's
Yeah.
getting pretty expensive. I try to go. I really do. I'll go 4 or 5 times a year, and it's usually matinees during the weekday when I'm not working that day, and I can kind of just sit in the back by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to sound like the old man that's just like, oh, kids, because I maybe I was a punk snot-nosed kid that was yelling and making sounds
Yeah.
in the theater, annoying adults. But like as a 31-year-old now, oh God, I'll sit. I went and saw a movie called Missing. Came out earlier this year. It was a found footage movie. Great little movie.
Okay.
And these kids in front of me literally were, I guess it's Snapchatting, and their phones are just flashing. Like, and I'm right behind them. I was just like, oh my God, this is why I don't like going. And I am not the kind of guy to say, put your phone up.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I'm not going to because, look, I'm a punk rocker. So I don't want to be like, that's just not my style.
You're like an old man.
But if I pay for that movie, I need
Yeah.
to sit there and watch it. And
Of
I'm also
course.
too damn cheap. I'm not paying $37 for popcorn and Coke.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna I eat before I go to the theater.
Yeah.
And I watch the
Sneak
movie.
in the candies, bring in your Diet Pepsi.
I have
Yeah, we do
before.
the same thing.
I
Yeah.
have before now. I'll cough when I go to pop the lid.
Yeah. No, I know. I hear that. Well, come
Oh,
on.
man.
What's the difference? It's like, that's crazy. Do you know my bad experience lately? My daughter and I have gone to the movies a couple of times this year. We saw Evil Dead Rise. We saw Scream 6. We saw Mithrigan, Megan. We saw
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say what? I get it now. Yeah. Did you see Renfield?
I watched that at home. I watched
Okay,
that at
fair enough.
home. Yeah. I loved that. Yeah, it was good. But my thing about the theater here, I'm in Canada, they're not busy. So when we went and saw Evil Dead Rise, there was literally 6 people with us in the big theater. And so the experience was like,
It's not it's like
why did I pay? I could have just watched it at home, you know?
so you sound old school to me. You like that rock concert vibe at the
Yeah,
theater. You know what I mean?
totally. Yeah.
I understand that. Um it's interesting because like Evil Dead Rise for me was pretty busy, and I live in Louisiana,
I
which
was
is kind of like a
shocked.
Bible Belt kind of place.
Yeah. No, I
So
was
it's just
shocked.
like you just almost wonder. Sometimes I wonder. I feel like I'm the only horror fan in my state. Of course, I'm not, but in North
Yeah.
Louisiana, I certainly feel like it.
Right.
But it's amazing. And then like I had a great time with Evil Dead Rise, and Renfield wasn't so packed. That was my favorite movie this
I
year.
loved that movie too. Yeah.
And I was really bummed out that I think it was marketed kind of bad. They kind of made it look like a Marvel movie instead of like a horror film, and people are burnt out on those. I mean,
Right.
those
Yeah.
movies aren't making money.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, but Evil Dead Rise was fun. Scream 6 is the new Halloween.
Scream 6
Okay,
was fun.
I'm
And it was
making.
cool. Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna make an assumption, but I guarantee your daughter is a giant Scream fan.
She liked it. She's 14.
Does she
And
like all the? Is she a fan of the franchise?
she hasn't seen all of them, I don't think.
Listen to
She
me.
might have
Listen
seen
to
maybe the
me.
first one.
When she finally sees them, I guarantee she's gonna love them. I went, and then I'll let you go. I want to say this one thing. This has happened like the last 3 or 4 years. Scream is the new Halloween.
Yeah,
When I went to Texas Frightmare, I
yeah.
saw Nev Campbell, Matthew Lillard, Skewatch. Their lines were out the door, and it was
Wow.
teenage girls and
Yeah.
boys. They
Yeah.
weren't alive in '96.
Right.
I wasn't alive in '78, but like I am still part of like that. There's the Halloween crew, and then there's the Scream crew. And what I mean by that is like there's the people that look at Halloween as the gold standard,
Right.
and then now the gold standard is Scream to these kids. And
Yeah.
I'm not hating. I'm just saying the tide has changed. Scream
Yeah.
is the biggest thing in the world right now. These
Right.
kids love it.
Yeah.
They love it.
Yeah.
So
I think like Halloween and Friday the 13th are starting to, they're getting to be too old. I was born in 68. So I was around when those movies came out.
yeah.
And back in the day, Friday the 13th, we watched the first 2, maybe 3. After that, you were weird. You were into it and you watched the rest of the films.
Mm-hmm. That
So
makes
for
sense.
me,
Yeah.
franchises are just not, I don't get it. I
They're
don't
not your
get it,
thing?
you know? I'm learning to appreciate it because people talk about it so much and analyze it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I see that. I get that. Yeah. Um, to me personally, I'm probably against, everyone's gonna hate me now, but like the Halloween and the Friday the 13th, it's
You ready
it's
to move on?
done. Let's move on. Let's move on. So Scream's kind of nice and fresh, I think, even though it came out a long time ago. I get it. I get why young people are into it because it's appealing to them, right? It's like that kind of crowd. I think you're right. I think you could be right about that.
It's like that's their old school, yet still it's just
It's so
amazing to me. When
fresh,
I saw I'm telling you, when I saw the line for Nev Campbell, it was a mile long. It was outside of the convention center.
right?
Literally outside. That was her line. I was like, what's going on here? Is this
Wow.
why is the ticket line so long? Usually they move pretty quick. Oh no, that's Nev Campbell's line. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Right.
You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing.
Do you
And the
think
fact
it's
that the sixth one made more money than the fifth one, it's just like, good God. There's
do you
no
think
end
it's
in sight.
because of how they've adapted it with younger people and how they're marketing it? That's why? Or why do you think that is compared to Halloween or Friday the 13th?
Well, I mean, to be fair, the Halloween films did pretty good on the box office, but then they were releasing the Peacock stuff the same day.
Right.
But then it's weird, right? Because when you live in the bubble, like I do, I don't want to throw you in the boat, but I guess I can. When you live in I'm sure you could be in the bubble as well. When you're in when the horror bubble, and all you hear is the opinions of like the hardcore horror fans, a lot of them don't talk very well about those Blumhouse Halloween films.
Right.
But it's like it's interesting. Like the first one when it came out 2018, like the normal people, I call them normal people, right?
Yeah.
I never heard anybody say anything but that movie was effing incredible. But to a lot of the
Right.
horror fans, just like, oh, it's the same old, same old. Jamie Lee Curtis is, oh, they're not brother and sister. What a change.
Yeah.
Wow, that's genius, you know?
Mhm.
But with Scream, I think it's just they've, they talked about the first Scream movie. The writer was like, we're gonna make this movie feel in the now. It's gonna live instantaneously. We're not trying to make a classic movie. We're making something that's very vital to today's world. I
Right.
think that's the way those movies operate, and so every movie feels vital to today's world. And
Right.
they live in the moment. And then you got Jenna Ortega, who's the biggest star in the world right now. So
Yeah.
when and I loved Wednesday.
I
I
haven't
love
watched
that
it yet,
show.
but it's on my list.
Oh, you love it.
Yeah.
So she became a bigger star for Six, and I definitely think she has big pull for
Right.
a lot of so they're just doing it right. They're marketing it right.
Yeah.
They're living in the moment, and it's the same thing, but it's not. This expression, the more that things change, the more they stay the same. That's what Scream's doing. And it's not a knock. They're
Right.
living in the moment. They're dealing with stuff the way people that age today deal with it and react and act. So it's
Yeah.
just it's working. It's
Right.
working.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So I guess we should start to wrap it up a little bit. We're going a little bit longer than we planned, but I knew we would because I knew you'd like to talk.
Yeah. I
Um,
do like to talk.
just like I do. So yeah. So what's coming up on your channel? What sort of fun things are you got planned that you're working on next?
That's a good
Anything?
question. I honestly I have to brainstorm today and think about some stuff. I always have my Planet Dirty shows. The UNEEDA Horror podcast is once a week, once every 2 weeks
Okay.
at the latest. I know I've got physical media stuff coming in. Needful Things, I got that coming. To Live and
Okay.
Die in LA, the best William Friedkin movie. I got that coming. I know that the Child's Play sequels, Bride of Chucky, Curse of Chucky, that's coming on 4K. I'm going to review those.
Cool.
And I just do a lot. I try to do fun videos like check out these horror Blu-rays that are creature feature films, or check out these 80s slasher Blu-rays, or check out these 90s slasher Blu-rays, or check out these 90s Scream Factory releases.
Right.
I try to do stuff like that because people kind of seem to enjoy lists. And for some reason, they like it when I make videos that make them spend money.
Yeah.
So that's why I try to do those a lot.
Oh, it's so easy to order stuff nowadays.
I mean,
No.
yeah. And it's very rewarding too when you talk about a movie. You asked me about like talking about movies that aren't like super popular.
Yeah.
And it's really gratifying when somebody says, "Hey, you know what? I finally did watch this, or I
Right.
bought that Blu-ray, and I really like that. Thank you." That's the coolest feeling, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. But you know what? It takes that to get people going on it. Like a lot, I love doing watch parties with really trashy movies. Like I wasn't really a huge fan of The Conjuring 3, and I did that this last weekend.
Uh-huh.
And my friend Echo was on, he jumped on with me to hang out, and he'd never seen any of the Conjuring movies, and he was like literally like sitting there captivated with it, and he made me kind of like it.
That's what
I
here's the
love
thing.
this movie.
Here's the thing. With a buddy, you can enjoy any movie because you can laugh and have a good time with it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I get that. You're talking about the stuff and people are going out and buying things, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Um, yeah. So you don't plan a lot of your stuff ahead for your show. You're kind of
I
keeping
like
yourself.
spontaneity.
Yeah,
There are
me
plans,
too.
sure. You know, when new stuff comes out, I wanna review it.
Yeah,
Or if I get a review copy of something,
right.
that's an obligation, and I'm honored to have that obligation, but I try to live in spontaneity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
keeps it
plan your life.
fresh. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know when I plan out too much stuff, I have a list and I'm procrastinating because I
Yeah.
planned it out too far ahead, and I'm just not as excited about reviewing
And
that
then, like,
movie.
there's nothing wrong with that. It's good to be because Garrett, the guy he's a planner.
He
Garrett,
plans. Yeah,
he is a planner,
yeah,
and he is a promoter.
yeah,
I will come up with something literally I'll be in the shower, and I'll be like, "I'm gonna do this video today. Screw what
yep.
I have to do. Screw what I was going to I'm gonna do this instead." And that's how I work. There's no right or wrong for either one.
No,
We're
yeah,
different, but, it can go either way, you know? As long as
yeah.
if you love it and you're having fun, just do it. Don't
Yeah,
wor
I'm glad you're saying that because a lot of my friends on here that are awesome people, awesome, get um they forget to have fun, I think, and they get stressed, and then there's lots of bickering and stuff that happens, and yeah, have fun. Life's too short.
Absolutely. It's too
Yeah.
short.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it every day.
Yeah, that's cool. Very, very cool. Okay, I could talk to you for another hour, I'm sure, because I'd love to dig into what is that tombstone thing there with your CHH lives on there, and what's the
So, I used to have this my buddy Dave made this for me.
okay,
It's a
cool.
play, obviously, it's a play off of the Jason Lives tombstone on the
Right.
cover of Friday the 13th 6.
Yeah.
And it's just an art thing that I made. I took the Jason Lives tombstone and I put my name, the CHH, and Lives. And
Right.
it used to be like a little intro for my videos. And
Right.
I have t-shirts of this like on my
Oh,
that I sell.
yeah.
And my buddy
Yeah.
Dave, I asked him to make this for me, and he's like a master craftsman at making these tombstones. So he made that for me. So it's
That's
just
very cool. That's
yeah, it
super
is
cool.
cool. It's
Wow.
a fun little prop.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna wrap things up now and let you go. Everybody go check out Planet CHH. Super awesome channel. You're
Excuse
down to
me.
earth. You like chatting with people and stuff in the chat.
I
Um,
do.
but you have so much content in that. It's just so much fun and so fresh. And I love how you're combining movie reviews with the physical media and making it really fun.
Right.
Yep, and your candle line and all of that. I'll have all of that stuff linked below for people to check out. Um, this has been really cool. I'm really glad that you were cool enough to come on the show and chat and hang out.
It was my pleasure.
You're welcome back
Absolutely my pleasure.
anytime. Anytime.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, have a great rest of your day. Don't work too hard.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you again soon, I'm sure.
Right on.
Bye, Christian.
See ya.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I sure did. It was really awesome talking with Christian. I'm really honored that he agreed to come on the show and chat. Such a wealth of knowledge for these movies he has. Man, channel is so good. If you haven't already, go subscribe to Planet CHH. You won't be disappointed. And if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And subscribe to the channel for more interviews like this one. There's a bunch more coming. I can't wait to tell you. But it's a secret for now. And more deep dive movie reviews, of course, live streams, and all that good stuff. Comment down below what you thought of this too, and I love to chat, you know I do. Well, I guess that's it for now. I just want to say I love you guys and have a great rest of your day. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.